With Season 2 of Twisted Metal about to drop tomorrow, we're going to look back at Season 1 with an in-depth recap because we know that the first season came out 2 years ago and your mind needs a bit of a refresh. So get your car keys ready, we're going to give you guys a recap of everything that's happened in Twisted Metal Season 1. All that and more in today's video. Now, before we begin, I just wanted to preface a few things about this series. For those of you who are just tuning into this video, having not seen Twisted Metal before, the show is obviously based off the Twisted Metal games. Duh. However, the story that they tell in this adaptation is pretty much its own original thing. Obviously to the show's benefit, as the original games were told through the individual character arcs that sometimes connected over to the other games. Additionally, characters in this show are reimagined versions from the games to actually fit the narrative that the show tries to tell. And it works pretty damn well. Overall, it's a very fun watch and pretty well written, so if you haven't given it a shot, I highly recommend you do so. Now, on to the recap. So we're first introduced to the world of Twisted Metal the TV show after a large-scale cyber attack happens, throwing the world into disarray as humanity quickly loses its goddamn mind. Most cities have become fortresses and all the criminals and dangerous people have been forced outside into the no man's land. As a result, some people work as milkmen, couriers that deliver supplies and goods from city to city, which is a pretty brand new concept to the series. One of them is named John Doe, played by Anthony Mackie, who has amnesia and doesn't know his real name, hence the name John Doe. He's moving some goods to New San Francisco, where he gets tasked by the city's leader, Raven, to retrieve a package from New Chicago in exchange for citizenship, which is super tempting because inside the cities are basically time capsules of the world before the massive cyber attack threw everything into chaos. So of course, John takes up the job. Although as soon as he leaves, it turns out that Raven was faking the benevolent leader act the whole time. Meanwhile, we get introduced to Quiet and Loud, two siblings who are running away from Agent Stone. Stone was a former beat cop who, after the apocalypse came to everyone's front door, was pushed to the edge by the people he was supposed to protect. He then turned into this dictatorial lawman type, trying to bring draconian law and order to the people who live outside the walls. After they're caught, he gives them a choice for one of them to kill themselves, or they can both die. After Loud kills himself in front of Quiet, she's obviously traumatized, then branded by Stone's agents. John is heading en route through Las Vegas to New Chicago and encounters Quiet, and they're both in a standoff until they hear Sweet Tooth's car. So Quiet and John end up running from Sweet Tooth in Las Vegas, after a fight over the car again. They duck into the casino to hide, and Quiet crawls off, and then John gets caught by Sweet Tooth, who basically forces him to sit through his big show, which is really just recreating the commercials that you would see in any hotel suite TV, before you change the channel. Sweet Tooth also reveals that he has Quiet locked up too, but somehow John talks him into letting her out. Then Sweet Tooth actually puts on this weird performance and asks what they think. John tries to be nice and compliment him, obviously trying to talk his way out, which just makes Sweet Tooth mad. But Quiet finally speaks up and says it was terrible. He actually respects her for her constructive criticism and just lets them go free. We can then see that this version of Sweet Tooth is very inspired by the Twisted Metal Black and 2012 versions, being locked up in an insane asylum and all, but we get more of Sweet Tooth's actual backstory later. Out in the desert, we cut to some cannibals about to eat these ex-security guards, Mike and Stu, when Agent Stone swoops in and saves them. He gives them an option of joining his crew, but they have to prove themselves first by killing people trying to steal supplies. Mike and Stu agree, and soon after they're at a checkpoint when John and Quiet roll up trying to get through. Quiet spots Shepard, the same guy who was there when her brother Loud died, and tries to attack him. That backfires, and both she and John both get stunned and captured. The two then get taken to Hoover Dam, where Stone questions him, mostly because he's suspicious about John's map that conveniently shows a route to New Chicago that bypasses all of his security checkpoints. He orders them to be killed, but Stu ends up not going through with it, and he helps them escape. Quiet takes the chance to kill Shepard, learning in the process that Stone's heading to Topeka. She wants to go there too, and Stu helps get John back to his car, but things go sideways. He gets hurt and Mike grabs him, leaving John and Quiet to escape on their own. On their way to Topeka, John and Quiet get captured by a roaming convoy of survivors in trucks. Their leader Watts introduces them to Granny, the elderly woman who runs the convoy, and makes John a deal. Get some plants for Granny, and they'll give them the weapons for his car. So John goes off with Quiet to meet Watts' ex, Amber, who is super suspicious of them and almost kills them, but Quiet manages to convince her that they are legit, and they return the plants. and Granny uses them to make a tea that she drinks to peacefully die. There's a funeral, Quiet forgives John, and then they get back on the road. Not long after, they recover their stolen stuff from the vultures, but Quiet drugs John because she wants to kill Stone alone. Meanwhile, Stu's back at the dam about to be executed when Sweet Tooth shows up out of nowhere, kills everyone, and frees the death row prisoners who decide to join him. Quiet sneaks into Stone's cruise disguised as one of his agents, but starts hallucinating her brother. Eventually, she's exposed, and Stone goes full on trying to kill her with machine guns. Just when it looks like that she's done, John comes back and fires one missile that he got at Stone, saving her. Quiet passes out from her injuries, and John carries her off. They hole up at this old fast food place called Astral Burger to wait out the storm. Quiet's pissed that John didn't just kill Stone, but they get over it and then they hook up in the ball pit. We get flashbacks to her old life picking oranges with Loud, and how they ended up indentured servants in the OC community. It's dark and a bit of overt commentary on capitalism, with servants getting abused and mutilated. At one point, she even sees Loud again because they were both separated. She and Loud then escape after she kills his master. It gives a lot of context for why she is the way that she is. The world of Twisted Metal is not a friendly one, but that's pretty obvious. Back in the present, she and John are closer, and they keep heading towards New Chicago. Meanwhile, Sweet Tooth and the freed prisoners hit an asylum. He takes Stu to his old cell and reveals that he was once a child actor named Marcus Kane, who went psycho and killed a dog on his TV show. After the world went to hell, he locked his mom and his stepdad in his cell and just left them there to starve. He finds the prisoners dead thanks to Stone's crew, and Mike is now working for Stone. Mike goes to double check everyone's dead, but Sweet Tooth captures him. John and Quiet finally make it over to New Chicago and grab the package from Calypso. We don't exactly see him on screen, but we hear him, and it's a little bit of a eclectic performance, I'll say. On the way back, they stop at the Milkman rest stop and run into Mary, one of John's exes. She's jealous of Quiet and finds out John's whole plan is to get citizenship in New San Francisco. She tips off the other milkmen, and a big fight breaks out over the package. John and Quiet win, kill everyone, and get away, but now Stone's been tipped off about where they're headed. In the next episode, we get flashbacks to John as a kid, showing how he lost his memory after a car accident and how he found Evelyn, his orange rally car, which helped him survive. In the present, he and Quiet are distracted by something, leaving the car unprotected, when some holy men steal it. John then chases his car down to a holy men encampment, where he challenges their leader, the preacher played by Jason Mantzoukas. Now, why is that important? Well, it's mostly because he's absolutely hilarious in this fight, and he wrecks John. Quiet then rescues him, but he insists on going back for the car. He fights Preacher again, but the car ends up exploding, which completely wrecks him. He makes a memorial for Evelyn before moving on. Quiet gets into an accident and Watts' convoy rescues her. She reconnects with John and they patch things up after she admits that she was mad that he cared so much about Evelyn. They end up weaponizing their new car and naming it Roadkill. They drive right into Stone's blockade, and just as Stone is about to kill them, Sweet Tooth shows up and starts firing missiles at everyone. It all leads to one big final showdown at the racetrack. Honestly, this is the closest that the first season has come to an actual match of Twisted Metal. John and Quiet beat Stone and basically give him the option to die on his own terms. Sweet Tooth tries to get Stu to kill Mike, but Stu turns on him and shoots Sweet Tooth instead, leaving him for dead. John and Quiet deliver the package to Raven in New San Francisco. John tries to get Quiet into the city, but she's not allowed, so he says he's not going either. Quiet, knowing that this life is better for John, forces him to go inside the city by shooting him so that the guards can give him medical help. She then takes off, leaving him there. John then delivers the package to Raven, and it turns out to just be a pint of ice cream. Actually, Rocky Road. Not my first choice, I'm more of a mint chocolate chip man myself. A month later, John is stuck living a boring life inside the city, and Quiet's out stealing deliveries and redistributing them to people on the outside. John tells Raven that he wants to leave, but she's got other plans for him, so she brings him to his childhood home and tells him that he's going to drive for her in a massive tournament between cities for some ultimate prize from Calypso. That's technically what her asking him for that ice cream delivery really meant. Raven was testing John to see if that he could survive a dangerous round trip like that. It was also purely to see that he was worthy to be her champion. Meanwhile, Quiet's car gets ambushed by a group of masked women, and their leader reveals that she's really John's sister. Obviously, she's a nod to Dollface. In the post-credit scene, Stu and Mike are chilling on a beach when Sweet Tooth shows up alive, kills Mike, and then drags Stu away. So that's all for Season 1, with Season 2 being the actual tournament. We're going to see more drivers and vehicles from the actual games. I really hope that the second season can keep the same quality of the first season, because this show does what other pretty good adaptations of video games do and keep the spirit of the games in the world and tell a pretty good story. But that's all I have for this video. Give us a like and a sub if you enjoyed our content, and please drop a mailbag question for us to cover in a future video. And we'll see you guys next time.